it's Nick, and welcome back to the channel. Now, it's been a hot minute since I've posted something, so I decided to come back with something a little bit different. Now, I've obviously made a bunch of customs in the past. I did a Megatron, I did a Acid Storm repaint of a Siege Seeker that was in the style of classics, Acid Storm. And I recently probably about a year ago at this point, made a custom Dark of the Moon Bumblebee of that original Dark of the Moon Deluxe, and I just like touched it up with some black paint and some silver dry brushing. Similar thing going on here. This is Sidearm Sideswipe from Transformers Autobot Alliance slash Hunt for the Decepticons, depending on where you are in the world, I believe. Now, this is probably the best Sideswipe mold accuracy wise because the headlights go onto his arms and it also manages the kibble really well. But the only thing bad about it is that he does not have his swords, which is something that I address with this. Now, this is, you might look at the title and you're like, oh, it says half custom. What does that mean? Well, if you're familiar with this mold, as well as its customs that have been done of it in the past, it comes with the red windshield and the red headlights. However, for Dark of the Moon, there was a Walmart exclusive repaint of this that was blue, and the windshield was blue, and the headlights were blue, and the back glass was blue as well. So, customizers back in the day, they would buy this guy, and they would buy that blue Walmart version, and they would swap out the windshield and the headlights, and they would paint it over to look like Sideswipe did in the movies. And I do plan on doing that, so that is why this is a half custom, as well as like, I guess the robot mode is like mostly finished, but like the stuff that I did not paint is really just because like that stuff would be replaced with the blue pieces anyways. And something I didn't want to do right away was paint in the taillights because I might do something different with those. And here's a look at the undercarriage, so you can get an idea of the vibe going on here. Now, what I did to get this effect, let's get in close here, is any of the places that you see that look shiny, I did a base layer of black and then dry brush silver. And then if you look on his knee here, there are little silver highlights. And what I did is I took a push pin like this, and I just dabbed a little bit of glue on the end, and just like tapped the paint into place. And similar stuff for the brass there. But I guess there's enough, I think that's enough looking at the undercarriage. Let's just go to robot mode now. And here he is in his robot mode, and now you like really can see how the dry brushing affected it. If I could just let it like focus. So, a lot of the parts that were already painted in silver are largely the same, and what I did to give it a little bit more detail is dry brushing in black. It's a little bit heavy on the thighs, but I do quite like what I was able to do up here. I think that looks really nice, because it kind of gives a battle-worn look. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do the weathering on the bits that are vehicle mode parts, because then the vehicle mode needs to be entirely battle-weathered, and this car is supposed to be super shiny, super brand new, and is supposed to look super nice. Now, I say that this is a half custom, not only because of the vehicle mode stuff that I talked about previously, but because there are certain things that I just haven't done yet. Like I want to do gold, maybe brass, maybe even some other color highlights on all of these little details to pick them out. I sort of attempted to do that with these, the little brass dry brushing that I did over the top there. And if you look like under his shoulder, there's just black with a little bit of silver dry brushing to give a little bit of detail. And his crotch is also detailed. Try to lock that into place without scratching the hood. And then the arm. This is probably as good as I'm going to get it up top. I don't know why I painted below this mushroom peg, because what I'm probably going to do is just like take the arm off of the mushroom peg, attach the new arm on, and then paint the new arm to look correct. But yeah, that's what I got going on there. And I just, because I could, I also did the fingers, which was kind of a waste of time. But this is kind of like a little example of what I'm going to do for the finished version. I like the gold highlights. Now, part of making a good movie-verse custom is not necessarily accuracy, but just like looking mechanical. A lot of the gold highlights aren't necessarily going to be accurate on this guy, but it just like gives it that complexity that I think he deserves. Now, something I mentioned before is that this guy has the guns and not the swords. Well, I made the swords. Oops. So something to keep in mind about Transformers is that their hands are on 5mm pegs, which, believe it or not, is just about the size of a Lego Technic pin, and this was a flick-fire missile. Snipped the ends off because I don't use flick-fire missiles in any of my mocks. And then I took the plastic window that's on the new Age of the Primes toys, as well as like old Studio Series boxes, and I cut it to make it look like a sword. I made a paper like template for both of these so they appeared like very similar. And then I also put like a second layer for this little detail, and like the second layer of the sword. And I just like super glued it all together, and it kind of works like that Black Mamba upscale of this toy that's in like Masterpiece scale, where they just slide on like that. However, it's kind of at a little bit of a better angle. But I honestly think that works really well. Something you've noticed that I've ignored is his guns. I probably will cover those in his finished video. Don't expect his finished video to come out soon, because what I would like to buy to finish this guy is an airbrush gun, because I am not confident in my ability to paint over the sections of the car that would need to be silver, like correctly, so there's not like brush lines everywhere, because I do want this to look nice. But yeah, that's about it for this guy's video. Tell me what you think of him in the comments. Maybe if you want a tutorial on dry brushing, because honestly, even like the weathering down here just looks so good. I really do like the way that the black looks on the thighs, as well as like the silver highlights there. But yeah, that's about it for Sideswipe for now. Part 2 months down the line. Let's be real here. Have a good one.